Welcome to Certain Point of View, your first step into a much nerdier world. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com. Thanks. And now your hosts, Ben Milton and Addy Thomas.
Hey, Nerf Herders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. Today is a brand new type of episode that we're doing, a brand new series of episodes. Well, I guess a regular feature that we're doing. We're doing basically sort of headlines and news stories and episode reactions, all kind of combined into one episode because we've kind of figured that there was sort of a void that we didn't really hit with a lot of Certain Point of View episodes.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating because there's so much nerd news going on, and we have ideas about it. We just couldn't justify doing a whole hour or even a half hour on some of these topics.
Yeah, like casting news happens all the time, or casting rumors. And, and we have great all sorts of fun discussions that come out of that, like, well, who would we cast in those roles, you know? So there's a lot of stuff we can do with this, but we decided to kind of combine it into a regular feature episode. And it's an episode that's also easy to share with your friends and family, because basically this is a nice, good sort of sampling of who we are on this show. You can share that by going to our website, certainpov.com. All our social media is there. How to subscribe to the show is there. How to be a part of the show through Patreon is also there. All of that is at certainpov.com. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Joss Whedon is reshooting the ending of Justice League to remove a huge cliffhanger. Originally, this movie was labeled as part one of two Justice League movies, and it is widely believed that Darkseid would show up at the end of the first movie.
So this is interesting. There's a couple things that I'm taking from this, Addy. One, it's a lot more going on than what we were originally led to believe for this role for Joss Whedon. Like when the press release came out that this was all going down, that Joss was stepping in for Zack, it was just, he's coming in, he's got Zack's vision, he's been involved in the process. Zack is just handing over the reins for him to just kind of like to put the ribbon on the present,
right?
And give it to the world. He's filling it
out as Snyder had already laid out the vision.
Yeah. Now we're getting like complete ending rewrites,
tonal shifts.
Yeah, There's been a lot of talk about how the character of Cyborg has changed dramatically under Whedon's rewrites and reshoots and stuff like that. We'll see what that all means, but it's definitely not what we were originally led to believe. Now, the good news of that coming out of that is
it's not what we were originally led to believe
because what we've heard, and if you believe the rumors is that what Zack had put together thus far has been unwatchable. Literally, that was the quote that was used.
So Batman versus Superman,
like really bad. Yeah, perhaps even worse.
Yeah, Batman v Superman.
You got to get that just right.
Yeah.
So I guess and look, I'm not trying to piss on Zack's parade or anything. Look, if you had what was going on in Zack's life in the middle of making a movie, you may not make the best choices either. Like, if something like that happened, so I'm not trying to like just pile on Zack here and just be like, Zack's the worst filmmaker in history. He's not my favorite by a long stretch of the imagination, but he's better than others. Okay, so I think in the long run, and I think you'll agree with me on this, in the long run, I think this is good for Justice League.
Oh, absolutely.
And the DCU.
Yeah, I feel a whole lot more hope than I have had in a while with the Justice League. Riz Ahmed, who was pilot Bodhi Rook from Rogue One, has been in talks for a major role in Sony Pictures' Venom movie, with rumors that he might show up as Carnage. There have been additional rumors, though. Sony's Silver and Black has also been announced, and there's been a date attached to it. But there's also rumors that he may show up in that movie as well. And those kind of expanded those rumors of his role to maybe being like the Chameleon or Tombstone or another character in the Sony Pictures not Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah, and that's my problem with it, is the not Spider-Verse. This is Sony. He could play all those characters. Who knows? Like, I mean, these guys are wild cards a little bit still in the comic book hero making movie business. Not bad as Fox, but still not Marvel, not even DC, in my opinion. They're real hit and miss. They love to just like, well, this worked, let's just do it more.
Right.
And just pile as much into a movie as they can. They haven't seemed to learn that that's not necessarily the recipe for success for a movie, especially sequel. And they love trilogies. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this other than it's casting rumors. Who cares? I'm in a point in my life where I have so much to pull from for as a nerd. Like, I kind of don't care about this universe.
But you're going to go see it.
Oh, they got my money. That's not a question.
Well, let's throw this out here, though. Do you think Riz Ahmed would be a good Carnage?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy barely acted in Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what he's really capable
and I haven't
of. If
watched...
I'm going off of that performance, meh.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about. There's an HBO, I think it was a miniseries or a movie called The Night Of that he was in.
Okay.
And apparently he was very...
He actually acted in that?
Yeah, yes, it was exactly. He wasn't just dazed for most of it. So apparently that was really good, and I've heard positive things about him being Carnage out of that.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe that's something I could check,
Yeah, we can check it out maybe if I have the time, but
Yeah, exactly. So voice actor Sam Witwer, who played Darth Maul in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, recently revealed that showrunner and producer Dave Filoni considered bringing Starkiller from the Force Unleashed games into Star Wars Rebels as an Inquisitor.
Okay, so I didn't play these games much, so I kind of don't have a dog in this fight.
I played it a little bit. I did enough to know the lore, basically. Yeah. I watched most of the cinematics on YouTube and all that kind of stuff and read summaries. But the deal with Starkiller is he would break what Rebels is. That is if they took him in that form that he's in.
Right, because he's ridiculously OP.
Exactly, and he's basically a force power fantasy, which makes sense for a video game, but the guy is pulling Star Destroyers out of the sky type of deal. So he also ends up he's Vader's secret apprentice that eventually is killed by Vader, but then resurrected to then help. He's a founding member of the Rebel Alliance, basically. To
bad guy turned good.
Yeah, type of thing.
Hooker with the heart of gold.
Right, but he's like a very key part of it because apparently, there's all sorts of complicated, ridiculous stuff where Vader is actually the person who initially he has Starkiller as when he's still his apprentice create the Rebel Alliance, just as a way for him to catch rebels and the subversives.
And make himself look good.
Yeah, and then basically killing Starkiller, and then Starkiller's the resurrected Starkiller coming back and making it a legit Rebel Alliance comes back to defeat him type of thing. It's sort of, it's a little extreme. So
it's pretty convoluted. You hear, if you can't, I'm surprised you can't hear my eyes roll.
But yeah, even if he was an Inquisitor, which is sort of a cool, sort of repurposing of the character, and one of the better places to put him, because he isn't quite as powerful, which is the appeal of Starkiller, it is a different character. Whereas, Thrawn, the way they've repurposed him, even though they've adjusted certain things about his character and who in his background and who he is in the big picture of things, he still has the key qualities. He's cunning. He really he studies the art and culture of the people he attacks, and is incredibly inventive in the way he divides and conquers. So that aspect still feels very true to that character that we enjoyed from the extended universe, and that was brought into the new canon. So Starkiller probably wouldn't have worked out as well.
Nope.
So Jessica Jones Season 2 will see the return of David Tennant as his Season 1 villain Kilgrave.
Dead or alive? That's the question. That's the only question that's on my mind. I'm excited to have. He was the bright spot. Yeah, he was the bright spot.
And it was a very solid series, and he was very close. To me, he was almost as good as Kingpin was in Season 1 of Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, when they were we're gonna do a Jessica Jones series, and and the Purple Man is going to be the villain.
That was the series I was least interested in.
I was like, are you kidding me? This sounds awful. This sounds dreadful.
Until Iron Fist got released, it was the least interesting.
Well, I loved that season. Yeah. I loved everything about that season. That season was so good. I'm excited to have him back. The question is it just flashbacks? Or
I don't think it's flashbacks. I think it's going to be sort of memories and trauma haunting Jessica.
I think he's alive.
You think he's alive?
I hope so. I think that would be the best.
Do you think they could play it as trauma for a long time and then suddenly you find out he's alive?
He is alive?
That'd be insane. So he faked his death?
Yeah.
See,
I love that.
I have a hard time with that one because I want to say I'd be okay with that, and I think ultimately I would be.
If they did it right, they'd have to handle it very carefully.
That's a very tough thing to handle just right, because the thing is that death, that is such a key moment for Jessica. Her deciding to kill him is so important to that character's development. And for that to be a fake me out,
which could be even
cheap.
more devastating to her, depending on if he comes back to crucify her for that decision.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, but that's going to be interesting to see how you can handle
it. Would be great. It would be great if, for a change, because here's kind of my problem with the comic book genre in TV and movies. They kill the villains every single time.
Yeah, unless you're Loki.
Yeah, you never get a chance to see these guys again. Whereas, like, in the comic books, like, they just go to jail for 3 days and they're out, on weekends.
There's that. Which I will also say has also been refreshing from
a little bit, but I do kind of like I wouldn't mind seeing another shot at it.
Which is why I like what they did with Kingpin. Kilgrave, I guess the thing that
I wouldn't use him as the main bad guy.
Okay.
I would just have him in there kind of or he's kind of pulling the puppet master and there's somebody else that she's after the whole time.
So it's just sort of a secret reveal at the end that nobody, like Jessica doesn't even know that he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fascinating. I'd be down for that. Especially, it'd be interesting to find out also that then the guy that she did kill was some other guy that he had somehow tricked her into seeing.
Yes. Oh, that would be so effed up.
Because it is an illusion. Yeah. He can, that
make
is
her think,
power set.
Oh, that would be sick. She killed an innocent?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be the best.
So, yeah, I could see a compelling plot for it. I'd be down for that.
Any way they bring him back, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So, Disney recently revealed that in 2019 they will end their streaming deal with Netflix and open their own exclusive streaming subscription service. However, Netflix has announced that they are still in talks with Disney to keep all Marvel and Star Wars content past 2019.
Do you want 1,000 cable channels? Because this is exactly how you get 1,000 cable channels.
Yeah.
Narrow it down to 3 or 4 major distributors, and that's it. Like it makes sense that you have 1,000 cable channels because NBC, CBS, and ABC couldn't provide all of this content. Netflix, Hulu, maybe 1 or 2 others can provide all of this content. 24/7, you can watch whatever you want because it's a streaming service. You're just limited to bandwidth, which is unlimited. It's an unlimited resource, unlike TV, which is a limited resource. So, like, there's no reason for I know it's a money grab, obviously, by Disney. It makes sense from a business standpoint. From an end user standpoint, just try to keep it simple, guys. Like, narrow it down to, like, what works. Like, there's no way I'm watching this new Star Trek series because I'm not paying for that CBS app. That's not going to happen. And I'm kind of afraid that that's where this is going to go with Disney, too.
Netflix has acquired Mark Millar's Millar World and plans to produce movies, series, and kids shows based on his comics. Millar has been behind many notable comics, such as Marvel Civil War, Superman Red Son, Kick-Ass, Wanted, and Kingsman.
Okay, so I'm not familiar enough with his side work outside of Marvel and DC to be super excited about this. Like, my biggest worry about this is that the best titles have already been made.
I would agree with you, except that I have enough confidence in Netflix and with their acquisitions. And sure, there's already been plenty that have been, flops too. It's not they don't have a perfect record by any means, but they've been doing a great job at picking out properties and picking interesting ideas and also giving creative freedom to the creators. So I don't think they would have made that acquisition because from what I understand, also, like, the 5 items I mentioned already, I think are pretty much off limits to them.
Okay.
So it's not like we're going to get a Kick-Ass remake.
Right. Or Wanted or Kingsman.
Right.
And you're not going to get Civil War, obviously.
You can't get a Marvel Sun, or DC property. So I don't think they would have done that without, confidence.
Let me ask you this.
Material.
Do you feel like it's a little bit of, oh shit, we're losing Marvel, let's get something to replace it with move?
I don't think it's just that. I think they had already seen the writing on the wall for that. I think it was already obviously this deal would have taken plenty of time to announce. I think the Disney thing blindsided them a little bit.
You think so?
I think so.
I think they knew. I think they, yeah.
Well,
I think they knew, like, 2018 is when the deal is up.
You know what, actually, Sarandis did say that he was expecting, like, they've been prepared for more content providers to pull away, which is why they've dedicated so much money into basically their own content. So that's why they've had such a push for it. So yes, in a way, I don't think this is necessarily a response to it. I think it's just it makes sense that this announcement comes at the same time because maybe they were holding on to it and not ready to announce it yet. But I absolutely think it's just continually part of that initiative to create new content, original content.
I think that if they had been able to work out a deal with Marvel and with Disney, that they wouldn't have announced it.
I think they would have still done it.
Because look, you're making all these other Marvel shows. They're already hugely in debt.
Yeah,
they can't afford to just make shows whenever they feel like it. They got to pick and choose. And if you have your choice between picking a Marvel show and a Millar World show, you're going to pick the Marvel show.
Yeah, that's fair. But the thing is, this deal that with Disney pulling out didn't include the Marvel Netflix shows. That was only the distribution for the like Doctor Strange and Rogue One and Moana and all that kind of stuff, not Defenders universe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe you're right. I don't know. It feels a little panicky to me. It feels like, oh crap, because like when the deal was announced that Disney was pulling out, their stock dropped tremendously.
It did, yeah.
And it's kind of come back a little bit with the announcement, like you're saying, that some of these titles aren't leaving Netflix,
right?
And most of them aren't leaving until 2018. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I hope it's good. I hope they make some good stuff.
Well, in a similar vein, Robert Kirkman's Skybound Comics has made an exclusive deal with Amazon Studios for first look at any future adaptations. This, of course, excludes The Walking Dead and the already sort of in development of Invincible, which I believe Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are currently writing a movie version of that story.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So the best thing about this news for me is, one, that there's an Ed to The Walking Dead coming. And two,
such a hater now.
I'm over it. I'm over it. I am. I'm over it. I think that everything he has to say in this world has been said.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think what he had to say was tremendous, and what he gave us was tremendous.
Yeah.
I just don't think that, and look, the quality of the show is still really, really good. I just don't think there's much left for him to say in this genre.
Yeah.
Especially on the TV show.
Yeah.
The other good news about this is that because it's on Amazon, we're not going to get a Chris Hardwick talking show.
You are
afterwards.
such a hater. What is? I thought you used to love that kind of stuff.
I love Hardwick. I love Hardwick. I'm done with that format of show, though. I'm just done with that format of show.
You're done with that kind of show unless we get hired to do that kind of show.
You pay me, I'll do any kind of show you want me to.
Oh, well, that's going to be interesting.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's not true at all. Right?
That's not even close to true.
Yeah, I was probably going to jump up to another story because I saw your response to that.
Go ahead.
Actually, yeah, I'm going to jump to it. So, Valerian was a flop at the box office, and director Luc Besson, well, he's naturally disappointed that his adaptation of the French comic book failed. He also revealed, though, he's tired of comic book movies. He said, "It was great 10 years ago when we saw the first Spider-Man and Iron Man. But now it's like number 5, 6, 7. The superhero is working with another superhero, but it's not the same family. I'm lost." Which, so there's some people who naturally have some fatigue with these movies, and that's fine. Besson, though, continued to take shots, but a little bit more pointed at Captain America. He said, and this is what he said, "But what bothers me most is it's always here to show the supremacy of America and how they are great. I mean, which country in the world would have the guts to call a film Captain Brazil or Captain France? I mean, no one. We would be like so ashamed and say, no, come on, we can't do that. They can call it Captain America, and everybody thinks it's normal. I'm not here for propaganda. I'm here to tell a story."
Okay, a couple thoughts on this one. All right. First of all, Captain
America.
Britain. America. #America. Second, Captain Britain is a real superhero.
Yeah, and Captain America has a history in comics. That's
a pretty prevalent one in the Marvel universe. It's not like we just created this character to like promote America. Like he's been an American propagandist for a long time.
Yeah, right.
He has a long history of American propaganda. Let's take that aside. Let's go back to his feelings about because I think the American thing comes from his feelings of dejection and disappointment that this movie didn't do good.
Right.
Okay. And here's the tricky thing about comic book movies that we've seen over the years. If you are not fully in love and a student of this genre and don't really understand it, and you're just getting involved because it's the cool genre to make and they're throwing, millions of dollars at you to make this huge big budget film, if you don't love it, like, you make a crappy film. We've seen it over and over and over again.
Do you think, so one of the things that, people really talked up, so this is the same guy who did Fifth Element. So he has credentials. This is not like just
he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah,
he's a great filmmaker. I'm not taking that away from him. What I'm saying is, is he a great comic book filmmaker?
Right. But do you think he didn't love the source material for this? Do you think
I didn't see the movie, so
it's hard to judge.
Hard to judge too much, but widely panned. Yeah. Pretty much nobody liked it.
Other than sort of like the technical, like the
it was beautiful. Whatever, but he missed the point of the story, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Tells me no, he didn't.
Yeah.
That's what that says to me.
Right.
That's what that says to me, is that he didn't love it. He took the job for the money, thought it would be easy just to make something cool looking, because there's this misconception in Hollywood and in certain people's minds outside of nerd culture that these stories are simple and stupid, and you kind of just have to Michael Bay it, just throw some explosions on the screen and some special effects, and just call the character whatever and people will love it. And I don't think that's the case. I think that the characters are very deep. They have a lot of history. They have a lot of nuance to them. And the fan base for these movies is very intelligent, very well read, and understand what they want from these characters. So if you just half-ass it or don't really understand what you're getting yourself into, you screw that up. And that is where, you get the turnout and you get the reception that Valerian got. So from that's my perspective. I don't know if that's what happened. That's my perspective of what happened. I think, he made a movie that people didn't like, and it's real easy to go, well, the stupid Americans didn't understand my movie, so I'm going to take it out of them and their stupid Captain America. It's sour grapes. Yeah. And that's how it comes off to me. And I hope it's not that case. I hope that, he just said something in the heat of the moment, didn't really think about it too much. A reporter caught him at a bad time. He didn't have coffee that day, whatever the excuse is. But it feels like he took a job for money, and that's always a bad decision. Always a bad decision. I'm going to get a little preachy. Never take a job just for the money. Do what you need to do for the love of it, even if it doesn't pay what you want it to pay or whatever. If you love what you do, you will find a way to make the money you need.
Karl Urban may be making his return as Judge Dredd since his last appearance in the 2012 film Dredd. However, this time the return may be on the small screen. Rumors are that Netflix, Amazon, and HBO are interested in producing the show, but there is no release date at this time.
So I really like this film. I thought this Judge Dredd film was great, and I was shocked that it didn't get a second movie, because it's a really good Judge Dredd film. Judge Dredd, not maybe the most popular character out of, for the comic movies, but this one was really good, and I kind of this is a universe I want to see more of. I thought Karl Urban did a great job. He's been talking for years about making this movie.
Lena Headey was really good in it too.
Fantastic. I forgot she was in it. Oh my goodness. So this is actually kind of surprising to me, because this really felt like a Guillermo del Toro kind of a situation where it was like everybody wants to do it, but we all know it's never going to happen. So to hear there's actual movement forward on this, and that there's some other people interested in moving this forward, is encouraging. I would love to see more of this.
Yeah, which not part of this news item, but you mentioned Guillermo del Toro. I'm very excited that there is a new Hellboy movie on the way.
Just without him, Sans. Exactly. It's a reboot.
Yeah, exactly. Total reboot. Mignola has been sort of involved in some of the design process and behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm jacked about this one. Yeah, that's going to be good.
I'm a huge Hellboy fan.
As much as I would have liked to have seen part 3.
Yeah.
I'm super excited that they're just doing something with that character.
Exactly, because he's an awesome character to go with. So Deadpool was a runaway success, and we are eagerly anticipating his sequel with Cable. However, the Deadpool animated series that's currently in development at FX with Donald Glover as showrunner is expected to be a different take on the Merc with the Mouth. In a recent interview, Glover confirmed Deadpool will be really different from the movies. It has a different tone and editorial voice. We wanted to make something distinctly different from the movies.
Okay, I'm going to check this out for a couple of reasons. One, I love the Deadpool character. I know that among comic book aficionados, he's frowned upon as base and stupid, right. And like he's just a violent killer, you know, and it's just
he's fun.
He's fun. I enjoy it. I'm sorry. I know it's stupid. I like it.
Highest grossing R-rated movie in history.
Yeah, but I get it. It's not high art for old school comic book aficionados. I get it, but I still enjoy it. And number two, I really enjoy Donald Glover's work.
Yeah.
Like I really think he's smart. I think he's intelligent. I think he understands nerd culture. I that's a combo I kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, he was loved him on Community.
Yeah.
I'm not as crazy about his stand up. It was fine. I want to watch the show Atlanta. I hear great things about it.
Yeah.
I also like that this is on FX. They've done some. These are the same guys who did Archer, but these are also the same guys who produced Legion.
Right.
So, it'd be interesting to see if they get sort of the same sort of philosophy in terms of letting the creators loose with this series.
Is this going to be live action or is it a cartoon?
Cartoon.
It is a cartoon. Series. It is animated. Okay.
Yeah. Which makes sense with the other stuff that Glover has going on. If he's continuing to do Atlanta, he's playing Lando right now,
Well, that's over in another 2 months.
Well, I think that the contract is for more than one movie, just in case.
Just in case they want to have him show up in a scene somewhere else.
Yeah, or I mean, who knows? You could get a Lando spinoff out of this, depending on what people see out of this movie. Which the Lando movie is what I'd rather see than a Han movie, personally.
All right. Okay.
I'd be fine with either not happening at the end of the day, but there's so much more space to explore in the Star Wars universe. But I am excited about more stuff with Donald Glover. He's also in he's in Spider-Man: Homecoming as a character who may show up again.
Yeah.
And I think his contract is also to show up in future Spider-Man movies as well. And he's not
leading any of these projects, which is what's interesting. Other than Atlanta, where he's show running, writing, and starring. And this, he's show running,
right?
But
then he's also got his rap and stand up.
Right, he's got a lot on his plate. You guys are creative place, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to strike while the iron's hot. My only concern about this show is you found a tone, you found a voice, you found a version of Deadpool that people love. Again, highest grossing R-rated movie in history.
Yep.
Why would you change much about it? Like when he says we're going for a completely different feel. I just said I love Deadpool, but he's not a particularly nuanced character.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm interested to see what this means. I assume it's still going to be a comedy.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect them to go the Rob Liefeld original Deadpool and go X-Force with him.
Although that would be really cool.
It would be.
That actually would be really cool. If you're going to change it and make it dramatic. If you're they're going to do a Cable movie, so it's, and we know it's in that universe, it's going to be silly and lighthearted.
Yeah.
What if you did do a Deadpool, Cable, X-Force,
I'd be fine.
Really dark version?
I'd be fine with I kind of want to see that in live action with all those other characters and Psylocke and all those other, in live action. With an animated series, it seems especially being on FX, in the same place that has Archer, and animated comedies like that, it feels like...
If they went up with an animated drama just to mix it up.
What would you think about H. John Benjamin voicing Deadpool?
I hadn't thought about it, and then at first I was like, no, wait a minute.
Right?
Maybe. It wouldn't be my first choice.
It wasn't, but I heard it, and I'm like, I actually really... I mean, that's a different tone.
It is a different tone, but then you're saying you're wanting to go
he's
more
Archer.
Serious.
I don't think he's gonna go serious.
I'm not saying he's gonna go like there's not any jokes. The Merc with the Mouth is he's always been joking
funny,
comedy. Yeah. But
I imagine it's still gonna be comedy. I wonder what's
the age group for this show?
Well, it's FX, so it's gonna be definitely a mature show. You don't have kids comedies on FX.
So
yeah, I'm really this. This has me a little bit more mystified. I wonder what he really means by different tone.
Yeah, that I'm concerned about that. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm out and that I think it's a huge mistake. I'm just I don't know where you're going.
Right.
Give me a little more than we're going for different.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So then, recent TV, we just, upon recording this the previous night, we had Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5, entitled Eastwatch.
Should have been called Hammer Time.
Oh, well, it is one moment, but it was a great moment. Well, so what are your...
That was a huge reveal.
What were your
huge reveal.
What were some of your favorite moments?
Shall we go spoilers at this point?
Of course.
If you're listening to this, like we've waited to the end. This is the last thing, so if you want to stop...
Yeah, we haven't had spoilers in any of these stories.
I'm pretty impressed.
That's really
pretty
weird.
Impressed.
I was expecting to have, it's our normal spoiler warning, you know?
No, let's do spoilers here. So if you haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, you're worried about it, J. Mike's rolling his eyes because
he doesn't care.
He doesn't
like good things.
Yeah. Having Gendry show up like that,
finally,
so bad. It was such a badass moment.
But with Davos making the "I half expected to see you rowing" joke.
Yes, yeah, like we all
did.
Great
nod to the audience.
Of just there were so many things in this episode that were so good that it's nice to see like all the stuff that you've been wanting to happen and has been slowly building season after season after season, finally coming together and happening and getting paid off. I mean, Gendry coming back was the very first scene where Dany fries the Tullys.
Yeah, the Tarleys.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yep.
That was fantastic. I mean,
yeah.
There's no more Dickin jokes.
Yeah. I was about to make one and you took it away from me.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't that great, actually.
All right. Got some fried Dickin.
That's exactly what it was.
I knew it.
I heard it on Nerdist.
Some charbroiled Dickin. Yeah.
So, let me ask you this. So, just kind of going over key points of this episode. So, what do you think of sort of Cersei's new approach? It's not as militant, but still, definitely cutting. But she's adjusted her strategy now that she's had,
her ass beat.
Yeah.
Where she knows, like, that's it, it's over.
Yeah, but
I got to be smart.
She let Tyrion in,
that was slick. That was really slick when she makes that reveal of, like, do you think anything happens in this city? And just seeing Jaime's face. And then the very last line of that scene where she says, "Never betray me again."
Yeah.
And the look on Jaime's face, I'm
oh my
God. Not only am I sleeping with my sister, and she's having my baby again, she's crazy.
Right.
She's really crazy. It was so great. Like, that feeling is so great. Like, you can see Jaime teetering on the edge of changing teams.
So what are your thoughts of Daenerys right now? Do you think she was justified in killing the Tarly house?
Yeah.
I've heard some people feel like, she's going too dark. And it is a question sort of brought up between Tyrion and Varys.
Well, what do you make of that?
I thought it was justified. She gave them the opportunity to
join me or die.
Yeah, and you do have the issue of sort of like the PR of it. Is she still destroyed a house? It was a chance for her to exercise mercy, but I can't disagree with her decision based on sort of her experiences in Meereen with mercy being taken advantage of. So it's hard to argue against that, but I can also see it come back to bite her down the road.
Well, what are your choices in that scenario? You're going to take them prisoner.
Yeah.
But then you got to feed them, you got to house them, you got to lock them up, you got to take resources to lock these guys up or whatever, and then negotiate their release or whatever, so you can fight them again in a week.
Right.
It makes sense to just give them the choice. This is your choice, and if you can escape, good on you. Yeah. But this is your choice. I don't have a problem. I didn't think it was that dark. I thought it was, like, considering the world in which this is set, it was a fairly expected move. I don't know why everybody was like, I can't believe she did that.
Right. I heard quite a few people say that. So we talked Cersei, we talked Dany, who both, like, their costumes and looks are starting to get closer and closer. Third queen also sort of has a similar look coming about, and that's Sansa.
Yeah.
Had some really interesting sort of the breakdown in the relationship with Sansa and Arya, and some maneuvering by Littlefinger.
That little fucker.
Yeah.
That guy, man. He's so good.
He is.
Just when you think somebody has the upper hand on him.
And he's the guy who started all of this. But I wonder if we're going to find out what prompted him to start all of this? Because he's the one who set all of this in motion.
Some people just like to watch the world burn, Addy.
Right, yeah, right. But do you think there's... So, like, I remember thinking early on, because there was a conversation, like, season 1, with Varys and Littlefinger in, like, the catacombs in King's Landing, and they're talking about Dany and about whether or not she was a threat or someone they should unite behind. But it also kind of felt like they were, like...
on opposite sides.
Yeah, sort of agents of, like, two different sort of, like... I don't know, like... I mean, obviously, Varys is not a fan of any of the gods, especially of the fire god. Mm-hmm. But I'd be interested to see if there are sort of greater connections. Or are they just people
agents
who are part of this?
Well, I think that, to me, the way I've interpreted it is Varys is an agent of the people.
Yes.
He has the people's best interest at heart.
Which they've really emphasized in the last couple episodes.
Yeah. And Littlefinger is an agent of chaos for himself.
Right.
All of his maneuverings are to increase his rank, increase his stature. He now is a house, whereas before he was just a brothel master.
Right.
A powerful brothel master. But he has now maneuvered his way into the game itself. I mean, I would think ultimately his goal is to sit on the Iron Throne.
Which is an interesting thing, because if he's the one who caused all of this, he is the one who caused all of this, because he's the one who said that, this knife was used, but was Tyrion's knife, and that's what started the Lannister-Stark war. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think he has there's a legit chance we see him on the Iron Throne for even a little bit?
I think either Arya or Sansa end him
before he gets a chance.
He gets there.
And that's what I thought until
there
I
is
saw
the possibility.
There
is the possibility that he marries Sansa.
Right, which I imagine is more than likely.
It feels like that's probably the move that's going to be made.
Yeah. So we also saw a few moments. We saw a glimpse of the Night King and his army through the eyes of Bran as the Three-Eyed Raven.
Or in this case, the 400 ravens.
Right.
So here was my thought on that scene.
Yeah.
Right? He wargs all of these ravens.
Yes.
And then goes flying up across over the wall and into and goes and then immediately wakes up and goes, "I need a raven."
Yes. I just had him,
asshole?
Man.
You just sent them all away.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I thought about that immediately. It's like, you just had them, buddy.
Just bring one back. How hard can it be?
Let's go back down to Sam in Old Town with the Maesters. What are your thoughts sort of on like how people are taking the threat of the White Walkers? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense to me. Like,
yeah.
We haven't seen White Walkers in thousands of years.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to be, like, very skeptical.
Yeah.
These are men of reason and science who tend to be skeptical people to begin with. And, you start talking about magic. However, I mean, you're seeing dragons.
They have clear reports of dragons.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem to be that much of a leap.
But I mean, like, a dragon's just a big lizard. White Walker is something is a completely different animal, so to speak.
I guess.
I mean, like to me, it's a bigger step. You can be like, okay, like it's a big world. I guess there's like we know that there have been dragons before, and it wasn't that long ago that there were dragons.
Yeah, but it wasn't that long ago.
It's been a long time since there was a White Walker invasion.
I guess, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was also a long time that they had dragons as well.
They kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Okay.
It was a deal, but it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe 2 or 3 generations, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know before the smallest ones died.
Yeah.
So it's not that. It's different. I thought that made sense. Sam just like bailing out and being like, I can't stand working for greater men than me or whatever his line was. Didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, I assume it's because they need him because he stole a bunch of books that he knows are probably the most useful for him because they're about the long night. So he's just going to take them and use it for what he needs to and just get away from all the other stuff so that there's going to be information that he finds. Obviously, he skips over a big piece of information that Gilly was reading that is useful, but they would have no idea that it's useful.
We're the only ones who know it's useful.
Yeah.
It's not going to do him much good at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't say that
it didn't say who.
John, that they named the baby. There was a baby and the baby was named John.
They didn't even say it was Lyanna Stark.
Right.
So, yeah, if they did, then you do have
now it's a big reveal,
exactly.
But otherwise it's just those of us who have read the books have put 2 and 2 together,
exactly.
and we're like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah. So let's move on. So we got Jon Snow meeting up with Gendry in sort of like a stepbrothers type of "did we just become best friends" moment.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was amazing.
I thought they handled it really well with Gendry just being like, "Fuck all that, I'm just," and having like that brash Baratheon forwardness to him that we saw in Robert.
Amazing. It was fun.
It was. It worked
and
really
him
well.
To see him play with that hammer and take out those two guys. Was
so what do you make of the hammer? Because the hammer is black.
Yes.
Like that's not steel. What do you make of that?
Well, were some people saying that it was possibly made out of dragon glass or something? I don't
not
think
dragon
so.
glass. I don't know.
Or
That's
Valyrian.
a possibility. But yeah, there's a possibility that he used some of the Valyrian steel from Ned Stark's sword.
Right.
And welded it in and melted it in with whatever to make this hammer. I don't know.
Which would be cool. Which would be really cool because I mean you have a little bit of Valyrian steel in that case,
which would come in handy where he's going.
Yeah, exactly. So let's actually move right to there. So with this episode's entitled Eastwatch. It ends with sort of like our Avengers assembling. With you have the Brotherhood without banners, along with the Hound, Tormund Giantsbane, Jorah Mormont, Jon Snow,
and Baratheon.
And Gendry. Yeah. Davos stays behind. But those guys are going beyond the wall to capture a walker to bring down to the south to prove, hey, walkers are an issue. So
it's the dumbest idea. Can we all admit that that's kind of a dumb plan?
Well, what else do you do?
I don't know, but it's not like, hey, let's send 10 guys and hope they can steal a walker out of this enemy army.
Right.
It's a dumb plan.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because especially based on previews, like they're not coming across just like 5 walkers and like, hey, we got one.
No, that's it. Like, they don't seem to like the walkers don't seem to have like a scouting system.
Right.
They're just like a column of people.
But we've had moments where there've been like scattered walkers here and there. We haven't like not always like the whole army of the dead in
the
full
herd.
Force. Yes, exactly. The herd. Yeah, led by led by the Night King. You know?
Yes. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean,
it's going to go badly.
Come across,
It's going to go badly is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Like, this is a poorly thought out plan.
I heard rumors that, like, what if the Eagles are the one to rescue Jon Snow? Not the Eagles, the dragons.
Well, you have 3 dragons. Why can't you scout with the dragons?
Right.
Did nobody thought, like, Danny, you just flew across the continent to go burn whatever. Why don't you go fly up to the wall?
Like drop off.
And
like,
go
you got
look.
1 out of 3, you know?
Just stay up high enough. You can see the army. They can't shoot you.
Right.
You know,
well,
if you're up high enough.
But you know what I think will be interesting is it'll be interesting to see what the Night King and the White Walkers can do.
Are you in this whole like they're gonna turn
Dragon?
them into Ice Dragon stuff?
I don't know. I'm not sure about Ice Dragon. I'd be pretty like crazy excited if that does happen. But I do expect. I expect by the end of the series, none of the dragons to be alive. I don't think any of them.
It's like killing Chewie at this point, man.
No.
Drogon's a character.
It's not Chewie. It's not Chewie level yet. We haven't had. Like, we've had a little bit of emotion from Drogon, but like...
I was way more concerned when Drogon got shot in the shoulder than
when Chewie did?
Well, not when Chewie did, but that's, you know... But for this show, like, it was like, oh my god, you cannot kill Drogon.
No, yeah, no,
you can't do that.
I was legitimately worried, but, like, it makes sense for this story to kill
I would
dragons.
rather see... so many other characters die. I wouldn't bat an eye if like 90% of these characters die. If Drogon dies, I'll cry. I'll cry.
I imagine the other 2 definitely will go down.
Why? They don't do anything. All they do is just fly circles. They haven't done anything yet.
I mean, we had the one moment with Jon and Drogon.
There was Drogon.
Yeah, bonding.
We still haven't seen
it. But that was still scary as hell.
Oh, it would have been the best if he just ate him right there.
Right then and there, and King of the North.
Scene. Finn. It would have been the best. I was laughing the entire time. I'm like, please eat him. Please eat him.
All right, well,
we just did like a half hour
let's move on
this show.
So, coming out this week, just want to remind you, this Friday, August 18th, we have Defenders releasing on Netflix, so be sure to check that out. We plan on watching it, binging on the day of release. And I think what we're going to do are quick episode reactions after every single episode. Maybe live
on
stream
Instagram
it.
or live stream. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, just like quick 5-10 minute reactions and move on from there. So be sure to keep an eye on Certain Point of View, our Facebook page, all of our social media. Again, all of that is on our website, certainpov.com. Our website, certainpov.com. And until next week or next episode, stay scruffy, my nerve herders.
Thanks for listening to Certain Point of View. Don't miss an episode. Just subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Head over to certainpov.com.